I just read an article from the New York Times from Saturday, March 1st, 2014. Now, the Mormon newsroom's view was that the article was fair overall. And I'm not going to argue overall, but I am going to nitpick. Because the New York Times is this liberal bastion. It's this progressive publication with an agenda of feminism. And I think this article does highlight the good things that the sister missionaries were doing in South Korea. But it also took the opportunity to take its jabs at the patriarchy of the priesthood and what we believe are views coming from prophets inspired by God, the same as Adam and Noah and Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, Israel, and Christ when he came, and the apostles. And we believe in a modern day prophet and apostles. And so when they say that church leaders were forced to reassess their views because of Mormon women, I say that is incorrect. Mormon prophets say and do what they say and do because they are inspired by God to do it. Not that they're infallible like a pope or something, but they are inspired and they do not lead their membership astray. And to take little jabs like that, I think is unfair from these two Jewish journalists. They talk about how women are coming back off their missions from being so ambitious with, going out. And it's, trust me, they're, if you ever come across them, talk to them. But sometimes they're a little ambitious. And sometimes after their missions, they have a little hard time adjusting to husbands in a partnership. I asked one of the Mormon sisters in our church, my wife and I go out with both sets, and they're both wonderful. I was a missionary in Venezuela when I was young, and I asked her if she was a Mormon feminist, and she said, yeah. And I said, well, do you know what a feminist believes? The kind of feminism that the New York Times would like to promote in the Mormon church, if they could get a hook in. Are you pro-abortion? Are you pro-same-sex marriage? Are you pro-career over family instead of family? How about an overreaching atheistic government? Is that who you are? She said, absolutely not. I said, you may want to reconsider the hyphen of Mormon feminist. In their snarky journalism, they say that the church is really keenly interested in their polished image. And it says if they don't update their ideas about gender, that the church will seem to be out of step with contemporary life, especially when it comes to women. And it will be untenable for these great female leaders to stay in the church. Why do they have to put such nasty stuff in there? I mean, overall, the article is pretty good. There will be a link that you can check it out if you're interested. Mixing this story with faithful women and unfaithful women, I suppose some people could call it a draw, but when they got women in there who were saying, I was so hurt that I didn't baptize the people that I converted because only the men held the priesthood, I think, well, that's the church you were preaching. You're teaching about a church that receives revelation. And if and when it's time for women to get the priesthood, the prophets will tell us. It's not my determination. And then Michael Otterson, who directs the church public affairs department, doesn't say anything without church approval. He says, this was really interesting, culturally there's an understanding that women's roles are going to be more and more important. And I applaud that. It says, but doctrine is not going to be changing, especially from pushy women who have decided that this patriarchal order that we live under is unfair. And then he goes on to say that the new wave of returning female missionaries would amount to an injection of really theologically well-trained women to enrich the church. And then he throws in this caveat: if they can make the transition back. Because the New York Times loved to go on about how some of the women leaders in their missions, when they came back, they saw the error of the ways of how the church is currently set up. And one woman said that she was going to be starting a business with all the people that she met in South Korea, a marketing trade business or something. I just read it where Brigham Young said that any Mormon missionaries on a mission should not, it's a big no-no, should not be planning their careers to be making money off of wherever they went on their mission. I mean, what kind of preacher of the gospel of Christ is going to go out and be thinking, I don't know, let me see, I'm over here, how can I make some money? That is not the spirit of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And neither is the spirit of contention, which is a lot of what I hear from Mormon feminists. You know, I'm happily married and my wife is a dynamo. I'm retired and she goes to work. My daughter is a dynamo with 3 kids and she stays at home and her husband goes to work. There are a lot of different situations, and I'm not arguing for anything except for loyalty. Loyalty to our leadership and not trying to get in and change things culturally. You know, the New York Times piece said a lot of nice things, you know, about who we are and what we do, especially these great sister missionaries and the testimonies they have going out. But they also put in a whole bunch of dark stuff in very subtle ways. Women of the church, stay true. Don't be a Mormon feminist. And husbands, be good to your wives.